You should dress for the job that you want, not the one you have. You can be a leader with influence, but not authority.
Hey folks, Joe Jurek at CultureShoc here. I want to take you through some of the questions that we most commonly get asked by people who are trying to get promoted or just take the next step in their career. So sit tight for the next couple of minutes. I promise you're going to take something away from this that you can put to use immediately.
If you want to get promoted, you need to be doing some things that are high visibility, a few layers up. One component that's really important is you're vocal and deliberate in telling those around you that are going to be making those sort of decisions that it is something you want. Asking for feedback and letting people around you know you want to get better. You want to exceed their expectations. Something that's helped me throughout my career, because for a while, that was my focus. A lot of my goals were associated with taking on more responsibility, networking, and getting to know some of the senior decision makers there. Ultimately, I had this realization that my focus and goals probably should have been elsewhere, and that's a big part of where I am today. But if there's anything I can share with you now that's going to help you on that track to get promoted, I'd love to help with it. And maybe long term, you have a similar realization to that you wanted to be in a different line of work or doing something a little differently with a smaller group on your own to have a bigger impact on different organizations instead of just one. Something that everybody can do is be mindful of the optics. Find your strength or your one thing that is going to help you stand out amongst a sea of other employees. How many opportunities do you get to interact with a member of senior leadership and take full advantage of those situations? You have to identify when there is an opportunity to better position yourself for some sort of recognition. You want your name to come to mind, not only with your leader, but leaders a few levels up. When there is an important initiative, when there is an opportunity, and if you're vocal about wanting to take on more and wanting to demonstrate that you have the capability to take on more responsibility, eventually you'll get a chance to do it. So it doesn't mean that you necessarily need the promotion or a different job title to make some of those impressions. But if you're telling people that you have that desire and you're showing them on a daily basis, you're backing up what you're saying essentially. When there is some sort of a cross-functional project or something that they're looking to assemble some folks to work together on, those are some of the best opportunities you can get. You have to look at who do you need to get exposure to within the organization, because it's not a career ladder as much as it is a career jungle gym. Are you set up for success with the leader that you're working for directly? Do you sometimes need to make a lateral move or even a step down to work with a mentor or a leader who is going to not only help you develop, but delegate responsibilities to you and share some of the reward or the acknowledgement when there are wins happening? The people that you're surrounding yourself with, and especially the leader that you're working for, is one of the most critical components. Because if somebody has it out for you, or if you guys just don't mesh well, the likelihood of taking a step up is not very high. And sometimes you've got to make that hard decision to make a move. And I've seen so many people where they think they want that additional responsibility, and it's really just because of the financial impact that it's going to have on their life. And that's fair, right? I mean, we all want to be able to provide for ourselves and for ours better than we do today. The best advice I could give you is make sure it's what you really want. Don't be silent. Don't expect anything to be handed to you. Always look at it as, what do I own? What one little extra thing can I do in every interaction that I have to be unique, to be memorable, so I come to mind when there is an opportunity, not just for a promotion, but for an initiative that's going to give me more exposure. You should dress for the job that you want, not the one you have. There's something to that. You can be a leader with influence, but not authority. And if you really want to take that next step, you can live it every single day. Your colleagues, those around you that are your peers, can start looking to you as a leader if you have some of the characteristics and you demonstrate that you will step up to the plate. You'll hold yourself and others around you accountable, and you'll take ownership over your own path because it's up to you. everyone has things going on and there's no way we could fully anticipate what that is, you shouldn't assume that you'll be gifted anything or handed something just because you're trying your hardest on every project. You really have to be deliberate and charge headfirst into these different situations. So we take that mentality and apply it to everything. A way that I did in my own career was having a very candid, uncomfortable conversation with my leader. If you don't see me this way, first off, is there something I can do to prove you wrong? Are there things I can do on a regular basis to give you confidence in delegating more to me and giving me more responsibility so that way I can continue to prove myself and step up? And if not, will you sign off on, will you refer me to this other department, where maybe I'll have that chance to do so? Because ultimately that's where I want to get. And if it's not going to happen here, then I'm going to need to make some decisions on my end to give me that possibility. I was in a situation where I had that trajectory and then a new leader came in. And you could tell there was just other things in mind for bringing in external team members and to build their own leadership team. And after having that conversation, I made a hard decision. I relocated for a lateral position. That was one of the best decisions that I made because it was picking the leader that I wanted to work for, who became one of the strongest mentors I ever had in my career and set me up for every move that I made after that, which was a relocation across the country to San Diego of all places, and a chance to run one of the highest profile stores and ultimately districts in the organization, and then move into a leadership role where I could have an influence on the entire organization. You have to know when to move on, but it starts with have that uncomfortable conversation if there's an obstacle that you just might not be able to move in your current environment. It's not easy to find time for anything, right? You have to be so disciplined in calendaring time and reminding yourself constantly to step out of working in the business and work on the business and on your people. As a leader, that's really what's going to define you, is how much genuine care you show for the growth of those around you. The time is always, right? You can always set or reset expectations. As a leader, there are times when you have a meeting, when you have a one-on-one, and you've got to be disciplined and regimented about this. Put it on your calendar so that way you're holding yourself accountable to doing these things and to following through on them. And that trust that you have, that openness, that ability for your team to share what their 5-year goal is, and the ability for you to pull that out of them and ask the right questions to help them think through it if they hadn't on their own, comes with the leader setting the tone for vulnerability-based trust. That you're willing and open to putting yourself out there, to showing imperfections and vulnerability, so that way people know they can trust you and they can share those sort of things with you. Even if neither of you have the answer at that time, it's that opening the door for a partnership so you can work together on achieving success, whatever that looks like. So it definitely starts with you as a leader. You need to make sure that you own creating an environment that your team feels like they can come to you and they can express those sort of things. Secondarily, you've got to ask for it, and you've got to help get them there by being more curiosity-led than advice-driven. So often we tell people what we think they should do or what that path is, when in reality, all the answers are in their head. We just need to ask the right questions way more often, and maybe 1 or 2 or 3 more questions than we typically would have to either help somebody get there or to gain a better understanding ourselves.